Hi, I'm Channing McCorriston, the container guy. As you guys all know, the World Cup is going on right now, and one of the stadiums is built out of shipping containers. So I'm going to watch a few videos on that and let you guys follow along as I comment and critique on the structure and how they've utilized shipping containers to construct Stadium 974. Follow along.
A unique stadium for a World Cup like no other. This is Stadium 974.
So they call this Stadium 974 because it is made out of 974 shipping containers.
Area that pays tribute to Qatar's history of worldwide trade and seafaring.
It's built right along the ocean, and that allowed them to bring the containers right up to the stadium, unload right off the boat, and have the materials as close as possible to the construction site. So this whole thing can be constructed out of this containers, but also the structural steel was shipped right from China. And so this whole thing was designed in China. It was one contractor that took care of the entire project.
If we look further down, we have the yellow for bathrooms and the black ones are the prayer rooms.
And so each one of these containers here are heavily modified. And so these aren't exactly containers that would be utilized for shipping afterwards or anything. These are all purpose built, and so there'll be the bathrooms, the concessions, the change rooms, who knows, offices, yeah, here, luxury suites. So they're very heavily modified. Typically, you cannot modify a shipping container and put it on a cargo vessel. You actually have to get a whole brand new CSC approval as soon as a container is modified from a pre-approved CSC approved structure. So this would have chartered its own vessel, everything would have went on there, and including all the structural steel, and arrived right in Qatar, ready to go for construction. And so I think it took a couple of years to build this, which is actually quite surprising and quick. But yeah, we'll watch some more videos and just check out how it looks and how it's been utilized now that the World Cup has started. So here's a very well-produced video and quite informative and taught me a lot about the stadium and the structure. So we'll give it a
looks like your normal football
view.
stadium, the kind you expect to find in any major city. The roof design, the terraces, the bright lights, there's nothing out of the
Yeah,
ordinary.
inside this thing, it
But come at it from the
looks like a
ground, and
stadium,
you'll
but
notice something
once you
really
jump
interesting.
outside,
Shipping
there's sea
containers.
cans there.
You're looking at the world's first demountable stadium. It can be taken apart and reused, and it's set to host matches at this year's FIFA World Cup in Qatar. It's a truly unique construction project, but there's more to it than that. With major tournament organisers needing to prove their stadiums won't be left to rot afterwards like we've seen before, this idea could really be a game changer.
So these stadiums here, especially in Qatar, I don't think they're known for sports. They don't have a ton of soccer leagues, soccer teams, and so I think they have 7 stadiums in total, or 8 actually. So 7 of them are traditionally built, and this is the only modular stadium that was built. And so this here can be demobilized and shipped to another country to be utilized. It's kind of an interesting idea because China could manufacture these things and almost decommission them, store them, and recommission them and rent these things. So there's a future business plan there for future sporting events. And so it's an interesting idea. Shipping containers are super modular. There's all the infrastructure on the planet as far as ships and ports to handle these things. So yeah, it's a quick and easy way to set up. I guess I wouldn't call it easy. I believe there's 6,500 migrant workers have passed away just in manufacturing. I don't know if it's just exactly the stadium, but all of the infrastructure required for the World Cup. So a lot of that to do probably with heat exhaustion and maybe unsafe work practices. But I don't even know how many workers actually were hired to manufacture all of the infrastructure for this event. Imagine it's mind-boggling, millions of people. So no death is a good death, but yeah, it's probably a very harsh environment, and we'll get to that later when we look at the camps what do we call them? The
Fan villages.
Fan villages that they call them. They look like mining camps that we've built in the past for around here, but not quite the same quality.
Its coastal location and design, there's no need for a cooling system in the stadium bowl at all. It's all naturally ventilated. There'll also be around 40% less water used here as compared to a...
This is interesting. They say the stadium out of shipping containers uses 40% less water. I have no idea why this would utilize less water than any other stadium. I don't think the shipping containers themselves make it more efficient. So if anyone knows why, please leave a comment below. Teach me. I always figured they'd use AstroTurf or, artificial turf inside of these things, but maybe in the World Cup. Soccer's not a huge sport in Canada, so I'm not certain, but there's probably no replacement for real grass when it comes to sporting in the international level, I guess.
Conventional stadium. Then there's what happens after England probably lose on penalties again and another team is crowned world champions in December.
There's a private joke that I don't really get.
And using those containers again, shipped off to another part of the world. The plan is for it to be donated.
So they say that the containers can be shipped off to another part of the world. They won't be shipped off and utilized as shipping containers. They're heavily modified. Their concessions, their bedrooms, their offices, whatever they are, they'll have to be repurposed and reused with a similar purpose, or at least something that utilizes that same structure and footprint. And but you do see a lot of the containers inside of the stadium. These are all steel corrugated shipping containers. So these are manufactured very similar to how traditional containers are manufactured. We actually get the opportunity to look underneath the containers in this instance, and we can see that it's a smooth underside, which is different than a regular cargo container. So that obviously there's some insulation in the floor cavity, and that's just, allowing it to be heated and cooled. You can also see a lot of, whether that's plumbing or there'd be ducting maybe for air inside these units. And so it's interesting to see within the stadium, a lot of the containers are a steel structure that's more rugged. I'd be curious how they insulated these things. Probably some sort of a batten insulation. Who knows if they utilize foam like I preach, but once we get to the fan village tour there, we'll check out the containers, and they're an entirely different structure, not even close to how these things are manufactured. One thing I do have to give shipping containers in construction, any type of construction, is that I guess more for an individual basis when you're utilizing a C-can, it's that you're starting with a structure. And so even though sometimes I don't believe that a shipping container is the right building component for every instance, at least say if you're going to build yourself a little cozy cabin or something, you don't just walk into a plain field and have to start pouring concrete and create your foundation upwards. You drop a shipping container off, you got your foundation done, your walls done, your ceiling done. Now you just got to basically insulate, finish the interior, and wire it, and you're rocking and rolling. And so shipping containers are great. You start with a structure, you have something to work with, and then you just need to get to modifying them. And so in some instances, they're super modular, and even just for my own construction projects that I've done out of traditional lumber and stuff, it's just like, wow, I spent a month of my life just getting to where I would have been if I started with a C-can. And so definitely like that aspect about them.
Stadium 974 isn't the only way the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, that's the group organising the venues. Fans are going to be including new infrastructure and ensuring less energy.
Here's a map, and so this right here shows where all the stadiums are. And so Stadium 974 is right on the water, so it's the most beautiful stadium where it's got a view of the ocean, a view of the city. And the reason why this is located where it is because the whole thing arrived on a ship, and so it was the cranes on the ship or the cranes on the port could easily unload all of the construction materials and transfer them very closely, very quickly to the site where the whole thing is being constructed. So let's move on from the stadium and talk a little bit about the fan village. This video here gives us a cool view of the fan village. that's entirely built out of shipping containers, of it being utilized during the World Cup here. So we get to watch it in action and see how the patrons are enjoying it or not.
Like a mirage rising out of the desert, this is a World Cup fan village nestled next to Doha's international airport. Row after row of shipping containers, servers' cabins, laid out.
So this, I can only imagine how hot it is there. I'm from Canada, so we don't get that extreme heat. It's minus 40 out right now. We get the opposite. We get the cold. But these units here in the cold in Canada would not be good. We get these types of shipping containers here, and they're a fold down structure. And so you can actually stack 5 of these in the same footprint as one 20-foot shipping container. And so that allows China to manufacture offices for North America and ship them in an efficient manner. So 5 offices can split one boat ride across to North America. And once they get here, you have the floor structure, you stand up the walls, and then you put the roof on there, and then everything kind of works. But the electrical's all done in China. It's not necessarily CSA approved or ULC or UL approved. So, but then also the structure of them right here, we can see it's basically headers, corner posts, and footers with wall panels. And these wall panels are typically a metal wall panel, whether it be aluminum or steel. And then there'll be 1.5 or 2 inches of some sort of insulation. It typically isn't even closed cell foam. It might be like an open cell foam, which could have like an R value of say R4 per inch. So if it's 1.5 inches, you'd have an R6 wall. If it's 2 inches, R8. And so that's not a lot of R value. And that does not keep the cold out. But also here, now we're back in Qatar. That sun is probably beating on that steel, making it 130, 140, 160 degrees. Who knows? You could probably, boil water or cook an egg on those things. And I think there's been a lot of complaints in a lot of videos about how these things are not very livable. They're paying $175 US per night to rent this thing. A lot of them aren't finished. And it's whatever. It's a place to hang your hat. I don't think you want to hang out there throughout the day, but maybe as the sun goes down, it allows you a nice place to sleep if the air conditioner is still pumping all night long. So I guess I don't even know how many fans are there at this site during the World Cup, but housing everyone would be quite the challenge. And so here's a shot of the foundation of these things, and so it looks like they're basically sitting on cinder blocks. And so basically every 10 feet this thing's able to span. So it's got a block, one not doing anything here, and then they just rolled out the green carpet for people to walk on over top of, whether that's reclaimed asphalt or something. But some of them I think didn't even get fully finished just because of the time constraints. But they advertised within a few hours putting these things together. I'm absolutely positive it was more than that. I'm curious because there's all of the bathrooms in each individual unit. They're likely shipped just as an individual container rather than the fold down way that they would get to North America. A lot of that's because Qatar is a lot closer to China than Saskatchewan is, for sure. So it's probably just quicker to ship them as a completed unit rather than stand them all up. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did the other as well. And so maybe jump in another one. There was one video where they gave a tour, and there's, right here. Look at this gap. Let's open this up here. Look at the gap between the cupboards. Like, something's going on here. I wouldn't be surprised. If the whole floor is sagged inside this thing, and those cupboards are actually,
this place, I might say, 4.5, almost a 5-star, because Everything is here. So now let's talk about the features.
Did he just call it a 5-star?
Guest services, housekeeping twice per week, a working distance to the metro station. You saw me when I was coming in.
So here, like, with these units, they're obviously painting them darker color. Look at this. This here is not 8 feet. That looks like 10 or 12 feet wide. And then this one's 8 feet. So obviously you can pay for the premium unit here and get a wider unit. And so I don't know if this would be a 2-bedroom, or you get like a queen size bed and a single, or what, but that's an interesting view that I just caught that now here. And so these, one thing when you get a wider container is that the corner castings are wider than a traditional shipping container, and all the infrastructure that's out there. I've done this once. I built an 11.5-foot wide shipping container in China and got it shipped to Canada, and almost bankrupted our company, because even though eventually I had to modify it to get corner castings in the same spot where all the lifting equipment is in British Columbia, but also I didn't put the gooseneck attachment where a chassis goes, and so I had to have semis sitting there waiting for this boat to unload these cans. And if my semis, 4 of them, weren't there ready to go, they were going to charge me $5,000 per container per minute until I did get semis there. And so thankfully I had a trucking company come to the rescue and save me there. But so everything would have to be slung from some sort of a structure to handle these units here. So yeah, that's an interesting observation there. They're wider, and so they have their luxury suites and then the narrower ones. So yeah, nice little basketball court here, and tennis courts, and areas for people to hang out, and then concessions and umbrellas that are probably much needed. But here we get a tour inside this unit. The bathrooms, you got a bathroom fan there. Looks like it's running full time, so that's taking your air conditioning and just dumping her right outside. Everyone in every video, they leave their door wide open and then they complain about how hot it is inside. Well, close your door if you want your air conditioning to work. Nice little fridge there that brand new, still has all the tags on it. So I think people just rushed trying to get these things done. Shutters on the windows, that's super common, I think. In China, they got these windows. That's not a very common thing here in North America. Let's check out the plugs, and here's where I want to show you. So this I find super funny. Right here you can see these 2 cupboards. I imagine, who knows whether the cupboards aren't plumb or this whole unit. We did see on the outside how it was blocked up. There was a blocking in the middle and then blocking on the ends, but now that I noticed that these things are wider than 8 feet. And so this floor plan here, don't let it confuse you. Don't let it don't think that you can fit all this in a regular 20-foot shipping container. If this thing's 10, 12 feet wide, this hallway here, like this bathroom might be 8 feet wide. This is the width of a normal shipping container, and plus now we get the hallway. And so this would not work. A lot of people draw out floor plans, they think, oh, 20 by 8, and they start with a 20 by 8 envelope. But no, you're only stuck with 7 feet wide on the inside, and you would not be able to achieve this in a regular 20-foot shipping container. But what I find super funny here is this gap at the bottom of the cupboards. Like, the floor is probably sagging across. So that's the construction of these units. They're just tin and foam and tin. And yeah, I mean, that's the bonus with modifying a regular steel shipping containers. You get that envelope, you get that shipping container that handles 65,000 pounds inside of it, versus these tin shelters from China that just they say they can move these to another location, reuse them, but once this thing moves, say if they move it to India or something afterwards, there's not going to be anything left of it. It's going to require so much repair. I don't think they'll be commissionable again, and so these things will probably all end up in the scrap bin. Like, they might donate the air conditioners, the fans, the fridges, and the furniture, and then just demolish these things, I would imagine, by the time they're done. And so say how sustainable they are, but watch the news after and see where these things end up. But yeah, we'll see. So let's check it out. The bedrooms there, yeah, this is way wider. Like, these panels are probably they're either a meter or 4 feet, who knows, like China, they might be a meter. But so if they are 3.5 feet, 3.5 feet, 3.5 feet, we got, what is that, 9, 10 feet? So a 10-foot wide unit rather than 8 feet. And that's the only way you can get that bathroom and that hallway in this floor plan. And yeah, so that there, who knows, that pretty much wraps up my opinion on the Qatar stadium and also the fan villages. The stadium's really cool. I think it's utilized using modular structural steel and modular shipping containers that are made out of steel, where the fan villages, I wouldn't stay there. I'd choose I'm the container guy. I love shipping container construction, but I would not love sleeping in there. I would be heading to a regular hotel room and paying $50 more a night to live in a brick and mortar type construction facility. And so shipping containers aren't a solution for everything, especially the Chinese version. And so you see during COVID, they popped up all those hospitals in China immediately, 1,500 bed hospitals within a week, and they're able to do that with this style of container. So that's just structural posts, header, footer, and then panels. Super quick, super easy, super inefficient. And that envelope does not work in North America. Those offices, we've purchased some at auction before, and yeah, we thought we were going to send them out on rent. No, we don't want the liability of that. And so sold them off at a discount and got them out of our yard. So when we manufacture things, we do it the right way. If you want to know how that is, check out all of our videos. We got lots of videos on everything, whether it comes to window install, door install, how to insulate, how to finish shipping containers. We cover it all. We give away all of our secrets. So check out our channel, The Container Guy TV, or check us out at tcg.ca. Hope you learned something. Channing's out.